Professor James Momoh is Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, the man on the hot seat this morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Always on your hot seat, Clara. Thank you. Good morning to you both.
And also joining us from Lagos studio is Hamid Abiodun, Chief of Staff to the Chairman of Momoh's Electricity Meters Manufacturing Company Limited. Thank you for joining us, Momoh.
Good morning. Thank you for having me there.
All right, thank you. We also have from Benin studio, Adekunle Tayo, Head Corporate Communications, Benin Electricity Development Distribution Company. She's joining us from Benin. You're welcome.
Nigerians and good morning, viewers. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much. Now, let's get started on this discussion. Let's see. We should start with the man in the hot seat. That is Professor James Momoh, the Chairman, Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC. It's not been easy for you, I believe. It's been really tough all the way, but it's also been said that when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. How is the situation at the moment? Give us a background. The metering system in Nigeria has become, so much problematic since 2013 through to date, and a lot of Nigerians have been, clamoring to have more. Some have been yearning not to have it because it's easier, better not to have it, and so many other confusions and a lot of unproductive statements there. Give us a background of how the metering system is in Nigeria.
Thank you so much for inviting me both again. Metering by the language, by the word, is meter a quantity. In this case, in our field, electricity, we are trying to measure or determine exactly the amount of current, that is the quantity of energy that is being used or be used by a customer. So you need to measure it to be sure it's correct and it's accurate, so that by the time you determine how much a customer should pay, you are paying for the actual price. So it's a necessary device. Without it, it's like driving a car without a brake, and you find out you just be driving forever. There's no speedometer and so on. So in Nigeria, for years, we've taken it for granted that this device is not as important as the product you are getting. So we neglected the perfection and the availability of this device to customer. So that is a challenge that started years ago, where customers were then charged at what you call estimated billing, bogus billing. So you are paying you might then end up paying for electricity you don't use, and which is wrong. You may end up also not paying at all, which is also wrong. So I think over the years, the lack of meters, therefore, has caused a lot of liquidity problem in the sector. That means you cannot appropriate account for energy that you consume or that is sold to a customer or that you buy to sell on behalf of the discos. So many efforts have been made to correct this gap or this deficit. Initiatives were raised by so many people before now. And unfortunately, because we don't manufacture this meter in Nigeria in the past, so a lot of excuses were given. Discos also had problem of getting the meter to all the customers because they were nobody really know the number of customers out there. We need to enumerate them. So many challenges were in the making. One, lack of enumeration of customers that are out there. Two, recognizing that no one should actually be paying for what you have not measured. If you go buy Gary in the market and they just give you Gary, say pay for this Gary, and you want a bowl, they will measure that bowl. And the amount of that bowl is what you pay for. So like all commodities, the issue of meter then becomes so important. A lot of, as I said, initiatives were then brought forward that, okay, by all means, we must get this meter. But the more we push, the less we see the results. So it became very, very important for the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to begin to think through what to do, what innovation can we put in to ensure that customers are properly metered. So we came up with different options. We call it capping, we call it MAP, all an attempt to bridge the gap that you mentioned that currently exists. So I think as we go on in the discussion, you will find out that all the efforts that we brought in, whether to bring in a third-party provider that will provide meter for the customers since the franchising area with the discos, we're not able to provide the meter at the particular time, on time, or there are some economic challenges. So let's put it that way. And eventually, we came up with MAP, which is meter asset provider, with the hope that a third-party provider will provide that meter on behalf of the disco to the customer, which allow the customer then therefore to pay for meter and then be able to meter properly. Having done all that, it's still not enough. That doesn't even bridge the gap. So, and I'm sure the purpose of this discussion, which is to now discuss the big initiative that we are very proud of by our president, the National Metering, Mass Metering Program, is an attempt, therefore, to bridge that gap so that every customer in this country who uses power, who wants to pay for power, will be metered and will be commensurate with the power they use. And also, they will be able to make sure that they don't pay for what they don't use. They'll be able to manage the power they use. Now, they will minimize waste at the end of the day. A lot of things that comes out of these gaps.
Can you let's even leave the precursor to the initiative. Let's just break down this initiative so that the consumer or customer can have a clearer understanding. What is this package? What does it come with? Both for principally for the consumer.
Okay. For the consumer, I think for the first time in Nigeria, they wake up to know that, okay, I turn my light on. There is a device that is measuring the current, the voltage, the amount of energy you are using. And I think the initiative is to say, if you remember what I said, I'm sure we're going to go over it again. The presidential initiative, which I want to explain properly now, is that what do we do to make sure that every customer in our country pays for electricity they use at the right amount, at the right time? Remember, amount and time becomes very important. So this initiative now is say, look, if the challenge is that we don't have money to provide meter in every enumerated home, the homes or the customers that we've captured as customers who need power in their premises, the presidential initiative now say, look, we will determine what is missing so far. How many people are in need of meter? Let's say we have 10 million people who need meter. 44 million so far has meter. What do you do with the 6? So the initiative said we will provide the 6 million, which is from the president, to every customer.
You provide the meters.
The meters.
The prepaid meters.
The prepaid meters.
At whose cost?
Okay. Not at the customer cost, at the initial.
That's what we want to get to know.
The president initiative is to provide the money through loan to discos. Okay. CBN will provide such money. Also, the World Bank contribution will also provide that money. So the sum total of the money now will be paid through these two loan instrument. And of course, as you ask me, at whose cost? It's still, your tax is part of the money with a loan, right? And at the end of the day, the customer will not have to pay upfront money like we did before when you had to pay upfront money. So that means meters will now be provided, loaded, installed in your premises, and of course will be tested and will be available and connect to the live wire of the disco. So how that is done is what we are working on, and the different instrument to put it in place is being done right now as we talk. Each of the discos have been told what to do in terms of determining their gaps. So we know how many meters they need in different time scale of the program. Like in this 1 year, we are saying that there's going to be 1 million meter that will be rolled out to to the customer in Nigeria. So each of the discos have put together a rollout plan that we've approved that says this is your gap so far going forward between now and the end of December, let's say. So we say total number, we want to roll out 1 million, therefore. Which disco, what do you get? Disco A, you will get 100,000, maybe you get 90, maybe you get 70,000. So that is what we are doing now. And each of this is being rolled out and is being evaluated and monitored.
Yes, before we get down to the other guests we have on this program, let's lay the background and see the foundation really. We still want to hang on you and then see how this really works out. 1 million, prepaid meters. And I think this is going to be the first phase.
Okay.
And looking ahead, you see that there are some selected towns or cities in this country who have been chosen in order to get these things out. Could you shed more light on this so that we can now say somebody in Kano may expect it most likely, but somebody may not in the first phase? What does this presidential initiative entail as regards covering the country in this first phase?
Okay. We divide the rollout plan of this meter into 3 phases. Sometimes we say phase 0, which is a number actually in the counting of things. So that's the initial phase. So in this 0 phase, we said there will be 1 million. So each of the discos before now had contracted with the contract with the meter asset provider in their premises, in their franchise area. So each disco then come up with what do you have in the agreement with your map provider, MAP. So let's say at Kaduna, if you have, let's say 70 is what, a lot of 70, let's say you have 50, but you need 70. You have 50 meters contracted, but you need 70 more. So we'll now take that 50 plus 70 more, and that will be what we'll give you in the first phase. And that's extra 70 more will be what is going to be coming out from as part of the National Mass Meter Program. So in phase 0 now, each of the disco are now allowed to say, this is what I have initially from each of my provider, and I need X amount more, and that is added. And this is what we now calculate for each of the disco before we come up with the 1 million. So the 1 million is based on what you've requested for the year. And of course, you've enumerated the customer of choice, not of choice, customer in your premise, in your franchise area that will take advantage of those meters. So it may be that it may not cover the entire Kaduna, for example, but at least you've identified, you've enumerated, some people have cooperated and gave names, gave all the information about their premises. It's already wired, it's already coded, and it's now time for us to say, okay, priority is given to such customer who in the last several months or in the last 1 year, they were prepared for meter, but meter was not there. So meter will go to those people first. In the second phase, which is post year 2020, we will now go to the customer that we missed in the first year, which is between now and the end of December. And again, we will go through a rollout plan according to the completed enumeration of those customers. And of course, in the third year, which is 2022, I hope, is all done, we will have cleared up all the rollout plan for the 6 million meters that Mr. President graciously has given to us as part of the initiative to Nigerian.
Thank you, Professor Momoh. Let's put you on hold and go to our Benin Network studio. Mr. Adekunle Tayo, Head Corporate Communications, I believe one of the representative of the discos. Can you, what I understand from Professor Momoh's explanation so far is that ab initio, where you have electricity consumers paying ahead for the meters and not getting, what will happen within this initiative is that consumers will not have to pay for this meter that will now be installed, in their respective premises. That's one. And then secondly, I also believe that this will be done according to the enumerated data that you have. Please, could you give us more insight into how, the processes and the modality of, implementation?
Much. First and foremost, the Presidential Mass Metering Initiative is a salutary one. It's one that is going to help bridge the metering gap in the Nigerian electricity supply industry. And of course, it is going to assist a lot in eradicating, if not completely, to a large extent, the issue of estimated billing. Be this Electricity PLC, one of the DISCOs covering Edo State, Delta State, Ondo and Ekiti State, has also keyed into that presidential mass metering initiative. And based on what the chairman of NERC has said, we are allocated 90,870 meters under the phase 0, as rightly pointed out. And of course, the rollout is to start soon with some formalities based on the arrangement. Like he said, banks are also involved. The meter asset provider is also involved. Once the formalities are concluded, the enumerated customers in our franchise areas who are ready, whose premises have been certified okay in terms of wiring, in terms of codification, and they are ready for the metering, will go through all this process and they will be allocated the meters. Of course, at the initial stage, from the onset, they will not pay, but on a long-term instrumental basis, they will pay and the cost will be amortized. And the beneficiaries will cut across all the locations within our franchise. For those that will benefit from the first phase, once they have finished the completion of the necessary documentation, they will start, enjoying the installation of the prepaid meters. Those that cannot benefit from the 0 phase, when the next phase comes up board next year, 2021, we also put them there and push the meters to their premises. And we are working on the modalities, and as soon as this is completed, the rollout will begin.
Customers or consumers know if their premises have been certified, to benefit from this initiative.
The enumeration process is an ongoing one. Even with the meter asset provider currently in force, this is a continuous exercise. We go to customer premises and the enumeration exercise is going on. We sensitize them on the need for their premises to be enumerated, because a precondition the regulator has said must be operational before you can even install meters in customer premises. So the customers are duly aware, and the enumeration is a continuous exercise. Those that will succeed in enumerating their premises, they know they have their chances of being metered is quite higher. And those that we don't meet at homes, we also request them to come to our offices so that we can also, kickstart the process of enumeration for them. We have also emphasized the fact that enumeration will help us to plan and know the kind of meter suitable for their premises. For instance, if you are consuming energy, whether your premises, based on the appliances that you are using, that's the load assessment, whether you will put a 3-phase meter or a single-phase meter there, it is based on that enumeration and the load assessment that will help us to know this. The kind of location you are, the kind of wiring that we put there, whether there are issues of poles, there are other accessories that are necessary. The enumeration exercise, during the process, we discover all this and put everything in place. Then the wiring is also important so that once you are metered, the energy is getting there, there are no leakages, and some other processes too that we also have to pass through. But if you miss the exercise, it's a continuous one. We have always told our customers that. So for those that are ready, based on our database, those are the information available during the phase 0 that is commencing very soon, they will start benefiting from it. And others that can benefit during the first phase, will roll them over to the phase 1 in next year.
Mr. Adekunle, are you in a way suggesting that you don't have complete data of your consumers at the moment, that some enumerations and some other data sourcing techniques have to be have to be, done in order to get these things done. I'm just thinking about the fact that as a disco, you should know that so number of people, all right, are really on this, network. And as such, so number of them have meters, so number do not have meters. And when this presidential initiative came on board, it's going to be much easier for you to just approach it head on and get started and get going.
To say that the reality on ground is that Benin Disco is one of the discos with the highest metering rate. And has also been acknowledged by the regulator. And we have a customer base in excess of 1 million presently. Those are registered electricity consumers. And out of this, the enumeration exercise is a continuous one. It's not a one-start fix-all that will do and stop. It's a continuous exercise. And you agree with me that it's not possible to do enumeration for everybody at the same time because customers' convenience quite varies. There are those that are self-employed, there are those that are working in government offices, there are those that are even retired. So you don't even have immediate access to capture everybody at a time. So that's why the data is fluid. But what we are saying is that based on the allocation given to us for the zero phase, which is 90,870 meters, those that have completed the enumeration exercise, we push them for them to benefit. And as we go on in the exercise, those that are being enumerated freshly or those that are completing their own phase of enumeration will be pushed to the invert phase for them to benefit. Don't forget, we cover 4 states. We cover Edo, we cover Delta, we cover Ondo and Ekiti State. So these meters will have to be shared among the 4 states. So beneficiaries will come across all these coverage states, and those that will also fulfill the conditions and meet the conditionalities are those that will be pushed to benefit for. So the data keep changing based on people that we are able to capture on the regular and continuous basis.
Okay, let me still stay with you before we go to our Lagos studio to speak with Hamid Abiodun. Let me stay with you in Benin. What will then happen to those who have already paid, before now and have not gotten, or those who have obsolete meters and all that? Are you going to treat them differently from those who are supposed to benefit from this new initiative?
The meter asset provider map that is currently in operation, there are 2 options. We have those that can pay upfront and take possession of the meters after fulfilling all the conditionalities. Then the regulator also put in place a mechanism whereby those that elect to pay on installment is another option for them to key into it. Now, with this new presidential initiative, for those that are yet to benefit by paying for upfront, we can migrate them to also benefit from them, because this one you don't pay upfront, you pay on instrumental basis. So we'll try and harmonize customers based on this list, the existing list, and those that we have enumerated to see those that can, benefit from this one, because the 90,870 meters allocated to us cannot cover all the customers that are not metered. So definitely is a phase-by-phase exercise. And like the chairman has rightly said, we have the phase 0, we have the first phase, and the final phase that went in 2022, when all the meter customers are supposed to have been covered by the 6 million meters target under the scheme. So we'll keep pushing people who are yet to benefit, who are yet to be metered, as the phase continues. And of course, some of them will have to fulfill the conditionalities by ensuring that their premises are enumerated, the inspection by licensed electrical contractors and certification of the houses is completed. And of course, they will also fill the form. So it is those that are ready, that have been able to complete all these modalities, that will just migrate. It's a continuous exercise, it's a revolving activity, which we have keyed into, and we are ready to implement it to the letter.
Many thanks, Adekunle Tayo, Head Corporate Communications, Benin Electricity Distribution Company. I would want to come back to the studio. I'm still insisting on trying to load the have a solid background for this discussion. And that is, Nigerians are really interested in trying to know what exactly the president has in stock for them on this mass metering initiative. We've been told that it's for free, 1 million meters in the first phase to at least cover the customers or the consumers therein. But it so seems as if the background, or rather what Adekunle is saying, seems to go a little bit against what the initiative seemed to postulate. Lay the background for us properly. 1 million meters, right, to be distributed for free to Nigerians. And free in the sense of purchase and installation. And then secondly, they are going to be done, at least for this 1 million, in Kano, Kaduna, Lagos, and Abuja for the first phase, I believe. Then we continue from there. But it seems as if there is a little confusion about understanding this very initiative. Throw more light on this so the Nigerians could know exactly what is in stock for them, at least as per the 1 million meters ready.
Okay. The confusion can be settled like as follows. Like you had, you want enumerated customers. There is a difference between consumers and customers. Let's start from that definition. A consumer may be consuming electricity without paying for it. So enumerated customer is different from just a consumer. So let's say a customer becomes a consumer after you've been enumerated, you are properly networked, you have your lines, like you said, you've been coded as a customer who wants to pay for electricity. You've been properly connected to the live wire, can be connected to the live wire, and then we put a meter in your premises later on after we've captured you as a number, coded as a consumer who can be measured, who has an identity by name, by class, in terms of are you a single-phase customer, are you a three-phase customer? Not only that, you are also captured by your location so we know where you live. So you have an ID. It's just like saying, who am I? I have a name, I live in such and such a place, I have an ID, and I'm numbered. And I think that is what he's saying. He has coded each of these customers that we consider an ongoing process as an enumerated customer. Now, what Mr. President says that even when you are now an enumerated customer and you don't have meter and you are still being charged electricity, it's not going to go anymore in the country. What we are saying is this: it's no longer tenable in this country that I will be paying for electricity I have not used, I have not been properly monitored, I have not been properly measured. It's wrong. So the background is that we came up with different options. Let's come up with estimated billing. It's not working. People are still trying to game the system. Some are even still stealing power. So what we are saying is this: okay, what do we do? Give a meter to every customer. Let's see how it works. But we cannot do it in one day. We don't have the manufacturing capability to supply to put out 6 million tomorrow morning. So we divided it in phases, and we have contract already with map providers. This is what he said. So this means that the presidential initiative is said, look, go give them this meter now. But how do you do it? Either you source it locally, so you create jobs for people that manufacture it, made in Nigeria for Nigeria. So to do that, we need to ensure and contract people to start manufacturing. So the initiative is saying, like, we cannot wait until you make 6 million before we start distributing. What do you have right now in your storeroom? The DISCO know what they have. So we did an inventory. From the inventory, we find out what they have in the stock pack. So we say, okay, if you have 50% of what your customer, based on what we can do right now, 1 million available. Let's say money is 1 million. No. Money is 1 million is not free money.
And know that it's 1 million.
So money is 1 million customer.
Right.
1 million meter is 1 million, millions of naira.
Yeah.
Right? So that million naira for phase one, the money is coming in phases too. Don't forget. I think that's important. We didn't say phase zero money is just dropped from somewhere. Government look at his pocket and say, if I give you 6 million, let's say multiply by $100 per meter, that's going to many, many millions in dollars, okay? Or in naira, whichever you do your conversion. So that money plus 600 million naira that I'm talking about, 600 million dollars, let's divide them into phases because the money is coming from somebody. It's coming from CBN. CBN is not going to give you 600 million. There's education. There's health issue. There's road to be fixed. There are so many things to be done.
So the rollout of those smart meters is already financed. There's a finance plan for it.
Thank you.
And that is why the burden will not be borne by the enumerated, customers.
Yes.
For the meter itself, that is for the software and for the
electronics, everything.
And for the installation.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is off beneficiaries of this initiative.
This is what is...
Mr. Dekule is saying in the long run, you will have to pay. So we want to know how. Are there hidden charges? But let's put you on hold.
Oh, I like that one. I like
Yes.
the word hidden charges.
Yes.
I will be on hold.
Yes, let's put you on hold.
Okay.